Reinvigorated with the new Indy Pro 2000 60 plus racing adventures comes to Sebring tonight for a double race around this beautiful historic circuit. Qualifying's underway right now. We're not far away from race number 1. I'm David Haynes, Paul Smith with me, and Paul, this is a unique racing series because what most defines it isn't the cars or the tracks, it's the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. The drivers are the ones that make this series and really give us some exciting racing, and it's certainly one that we're looking forward to. I could tell you there's 47 entrants for this first race of 2 tonight.
Yeah, this was a popular and growing series, and then it has an absolute shot in the arm from the new Indy Pro 2000. This is this season's schedule. We started off with RaceSpot coverage of round 1 at Watkins Glen just a couple weeks ago. Since then, the series has been to Road America, Phoenix Oval, Indianapolis Road Course, that's a good one, and Montreal, and now here we are at Sebring for RaceSpot coverage once again. You can see the season carries on, and we'll have RaceSpot live coverage of the finale on September 2nd. But right here we are in the smack dab meat of the championship, and this is what the points look like. Russ Addy at the lead, 154. Ahead of Randy Shoemake from Texas, John Morgan, Donald Fitterer, Paul Stump in 5th there. And this is a lot of familiar names to anyone who's followed 60 plus racing adventures for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of names that people will know. There's one big name that they will know from the previous Pro Mazda, which is, of course, Stefan Rosgen. And you look at him down in 10th place. So this car does not seem to be suiting his driving style, perhaps.
It has also, I think, been fiercely competitive this season. We are 6 or so rounds in with 47 cars on the grid tonight. I assume it's been equally stacked, loaded, and competitive, and punishing if you make mistakes all season long. So I think that's what we're going to see from Sebring. We're also going to see that is some beautiful Florida weather right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice air temperature. Track temperature is in towards the low to mid 30 degrees in Celsius if you use that, but yeah, it's partly cloudy, so we'll be seeing these same conditions in race number 2 as well. Yeah, at least these drivers, they get a fixed setup, they get fixed weather as well. So there's plenty for these drivers to learn about how the track feels, about how the car goes around here. And it's a tricky track. Let's not forget that. It's very, very bumpy in places, especially into the final corner, Sunset Bend. It's a really, really difficult corner. It's basically a corner with 1,000 lines, is that? And, the bumps there will unsettle this car. And it'll be interesting to see how they cope with this with such a big field.
Yeah, exactly. What can be said about Sebring that has not already been said? Host to multiple endurance races, host to Formula One Grand Prix once upon a time as well. Like you say, quite a few fast places around here where the slipstreaming of these open wheel cars is going to come into effect, but as you also rightly point out, very, very bumpy in lots of places, and a GT car can feel that. Boy, are you going to feel that in an open wheeler like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be such a tricky experience for these drivers. Don't forget, Jack Brabham won his first World Championship here at Sebring back in 1959, so it's got its storied history at this circuit.
The first man to win Formula One Grand Prix in across 3 different decades.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll be getting ready for this starting grid now.
Yep, indeed we are. What a grid it is. They're going to form up on the start-finish line and do a full pace lap. So we get to run through your entire starting grid, which right at the top has John Morgan, So he is off to a great start for this round from Sebring. He's going to start on the front row with David Costello. They've got Mike McCormick in third. Bill Wright is in fourth. In fifth, Randy Shoemaker, you might remember, is second in the points, so that's not a bad start for him, with Donald Federer for company. Donald Poole in seventh, and Remigio De Pasqua bringing the Team Italian Turtles flavour to eighth place. Then it's Leroy Coppage, Paul Stump, Jack Turner, and Bill Kraus.
With Rosadi 13th, then ahead of Kenneth Duma. Andrew Fiddler ahead of Kenneth Baldwin. Dev Donnelly, Greg Garris round out row 9. Row 10 is Bruce Granheim and John Unsby. Row 11, Stefan Rosegen all the way down in row 11. 1.2 seconds, so it shows how close and competitive this field is. Bruce Poole 22nd ahead of Barry Hills, and Bob Kern on row 12. Joel Martin, Richard Coulomb, Lewis Cannell and Franz Brink taking this to 28th. Fred McIntosh and Urs Muller into 30th. Douglas Beasley and Michael Bailey 32nd.
And to bring home our 47 car field, we've got Richard Varley, Bob Cohen, Gene Moore, Ian Wilson in 36th, and it's Gerard Florison, a familiar name, in 37th, Larry Thomas in 38th, Pierre Dione in 39th, 40th, Gianni Raspaldo, and then 41st, John Arles, and we've got Wally Molesby, David Booth, Klaus Poyen, Paulo Bonacera, Jose Carlos Campodinoco, and Jerry Kerr with no time right up the end of the field, but still eligible to take the start if he wants.
Certainly can. And, well, we shall have a look, our first look at the cars going around the circuit then. They're at Big Bend at the moment. As you mentioned, a full pace lap here. So plenty of time for these drivers just to get the car into perfect shape, how they want that car to be at the start of this race. And you can see
we've got some like David Costello there, you know, having a bit of a wave, making sure they feel the tyres underneath them. And of course, these cars don't really have anything to speak of for tyre warmers. You do need to be careful right at the start. So I think this does give them an opportunity to, you know, feel it out, maybe just get a little bit more heat in the tyres. We're heading for a rolling start, which is certainly going to help our big grid get away more cleanly than a standing start between the concrete walls of Sebring.
Yeah, it certainly will help with that matter, and help really in being able to get everyone just spread out that little bit, because it will be really tricky to get these drivers all sorted out, ready for, you know, if you had a standing start going into turn 1 and turn 2 here, that'd be a bit of a nightmare getting all those cars through there. As I say, gets this field just spread out that bit more so they have a bit more opportunity to get through the opening turns. But turn 2, I would say, is the really tricky one, because that's where the field will all bunch up.
Yeah, indeed. A couple places through this circuit where it gets a little bit narrow. It might only be one line, and then you do have quite some wide spaces for maybe the Ullman Straight at the back here. But talking about this race, 17 laps ahead of us. This is race 1. Drivers will score points in this race. In race 2, they will run in the same format, but the championship points the drivers take is whichever of race 1 or race 2 was their best result. So this is a fantastic opportunity right now in race 1 for the drivers to lock in some points and start this round on the correct foot. We are one corner away from going green. You see our field behind the safety car with the lights off, and we are going to get racing for 17 laps just shortly.
Yeah, drivers get themselves prepared, and this is going to be a tough one to call, but John Morgan is in the perfect spot, starting from pole position on the inside line for turn 1.
Yep, bit of an IMSA-inspired paint from what we see there, and they of course love this circuit, so maybe he loves this circuit, and that's helped him through beautiful Sunset Bend. Difficult and bumpy Sunset Bend they come. Pace car is going to pull in, and when is John Morgan going to decide is his time? Look at the whole field packed up 4 wide in the background as we get racing at Sebring. What a good jump from John Morgan, but caution is going to be needed from some of the drivers behind to make their way through turn 1 cleanly.
Yeah, we'll try and get a look through your field. Everybody making it through turn 1, but as I said, it was this corner here Turn 2 and 3, and John Morgan has missed one of the corners.
There we are, he's under quite a bit of pressure still, but so too is Bill Wright and Mike McCormick behind, and I'm seeing quite a good jump off the line from Bill Wright from 4th into 2nd there in the yellow machine. They come down into a very difficult braking zone in this hairpin. Got to try and hook the inside of a little bit of the camber there. Randy Shoemake has not quite done that as he would have liked.
Yeah, he just got a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there with Russ at it. And before you know it, he's then under pressure from behind his Shoemake. So there's Donald Poole making a bit of an ambitious move to the inside and ends up in the grass.
Not a lot of grip on these cold and slick tyres out there. There's a few other drivers just struggling as our 44 cars took the start. Fortunately for Donald Fitterer there in the number 8 all carbon looking car. He is in a tough spot to get that car rolling again, and there's indeed some other drivers walking wounded with a little bit of damage, but just trying to get this race away. And you can see not a clean start for everyone, but luckily for these drivers, they do have a fast repair. Think of it like a spare car that they can grab in this race if they need to make a pit stop. Shouldn't require a pit stop without any issues, but it does not necessarily the end of your day in this race if you have had something fall off on lap 1.
Yeah, McCormick should I say, and Randy Shoemake battling away out of the final turn. Sunset Bend to come across the line, and look at the bouncing. The car's just bumping along into turn 1. This car, I've been doing a little bit of driving in this car. It's not the easiest of car to drive, but once you get used to it and once you feel comfortable in the car, you can get a really good feel for it and a really good run of how it is here in this field. So these drivers, they'll be good in this car, well practiced, well versed in this car, and certainly will be enjoying themselves. John Unsby is the latest. Look at pit road. We've had an absolute nightmare on lap 1. 33rd down to 47th on pit road.
Yeah, certainly a busy place at those drivers taking that repair like I'm talking about. And one of them looks like Stefan Rostian. I'll recognise that car and helmet. So not a good start to this race for the defending champion. And look at that pile up in the background there. 4, maybe 5 cars taken out, and you can see why pit road was so popular at the end of lap 1. We're looking at John Unsby. He's a previous race winner in this championship, and he has been under immense pressure here, and it shows, doesn't it?
Yep, ended up in the wall there. Decided to take a tour back to the pits and getting himself some repairs. You get a fast repair in this series, so drivers do have the ability to have a second chance around here and to give it a good go in this race. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, you've got 2 races here, so if your first race wasn't that good, don't worry, because you've got another race to try and do well in.
Yeah, indeed, sort of that best of 2 points format does lead itself to some good running, some good racing, and not counting anyone out.
John Morgan has had a huge
from the lead
incident
of the race as well. So big issue for John Morgan on what appears to be his lap 3, and he's had to put that car immediately on the tow hook. So we are looking, he's leading the race under maybe a little bit of pressure from Bill right behind, who is following in the slipstream. And what has happened here for John Morgan? We're going to ride on board with this replay. And that is a difficult corner in these cars in turn 1. It's not much of a braking zone, really. You've got to flick the car in at speed.
Is it going to be somebody coming out the pit road? Because there was quite a lot of people coming out the pit road. Yeah, somebody coming out pit road. Nowhere for John to go. Just absolutely caught out by that one. I want to get another look at that from off-board. But John, absolutely nowhere to go. He doesn't know that there's a car on the line, and then bang! Into that car.
The onboard told an incredible amount of that story. John Morgan wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you. It's a real shame for our pole setup, but like we say, his day's not done, and this race isn't even done for him. But who's impressed me massively. Russ Addy from 13th on the grid is now up in the top 2, and that's the kind of performance, which is why he would be at the top of the point standings right now with a showing like that in just a couple of laps, moving from outside the top 10 into potentially contending for the lead already. That shows an incredible amount of confidence in this car. This championship ran for several seasons with the older Pro Mazda. It's now switched across to this new Road to Indy vehicle. And I think some drivers have adapted to it a little quicker than others. And Russ Addy, like a duck to water. Yeah,
we saw how Russ, especially last season, progressed through the field in the old Pro Mazda. But here we are, we're in the Indy Pro 2000, the PM18, and he's really giving it a go. Now the leaders, we're looking from on board McCormick, but the leaders in front have got a ton of traffic that they've got to try and work their way through. So these drivers having to get out the way of leaders, and that's going to allow Russ Addy to catch up even more here.
It seems like it. Some of those drivers went down onto pit road under their own power. Some needed a tow truck, so some of them have rejoined the race about a lap down. It's a pretty big lap here at Sebring, so to go that full lap down this early probably means that a tow was needed to be taken. But it has, as you rightly say, helped Russ Addy a little bit. He's taken a couple tenths out of Bill Wright through this traffic so far. That was nearly 1.5 seconds. Now, at times, trending to underneath a second. Russ Addy is going to get some pretty good VIP treatment here, I think.
Yeah, well, there's John Unsby just ahead of him, giving him a bit of a draft here, but right now, Russ would rather be ahead, I feel. Yeah, John Unsby's not a slow driver, but he's just getting caught out, is Russ, and that's allowing Bill to pull away here. Now, Russ is going to say, okay, I need to get on by now. Please, if you could just get out my way. He will be compromised going into this corner, and look behind. They've caught up. Randy Shoemake and McCormick have caught up to Russ Addy with all this.
Yeah, and it's ambitious here from Shoemake to switch to the inside there underneath John Unsby, and immediately right into the tow, right into the draft of Russ Addy, so he is wasting no time. Mike McCormick is taking just a little bit longer, and no wonder John Unsby is so hard to pass. Huge race spot sticker on the side of his car. That thing must have an extra 20 horsepower.
Absolutely, but Shoemake makes it up into second place now. So Russ Addy dropping down a place, and they're now 2.6 seconds behind your race leaders here. So in 1 minute, we've gone from being a second behind the race leader to now 2.6, 2.8, as now Russ Addy is going to come back here. This is great stuff.
Yeah, it's racy side by side, and you want the inside there. Like I say, you want to hook your inside tyres to that curb. Use the little bit of camber that really helps you around there, and that is a job well done from Russ Addy to slingshot back into second. But the traffic stays out of the way of these guys, and their great little scrap they're having in the top 3 here.
Yeah, well, they've managed to drop McCormick out of all of this, have Addy and Shoemake, because of John Unsby just acting as the cork in the bottle here. Obviously, not yellow flags, but blue flags are advisory, of course. And so John doesn't have to move out the way. He has moved out the way now, so McCormick can get after these two. But I feel that Addy has just got that little bit of a speed advantage over Shoemake here, and he's now looking to try and set his sights on your race leader.
I'd need to confirm it in some other way, but I think Russ Addy might have the fastest lap of the race at the minute.
It's at the top of your screen there. It's John Morgan who's got the fastest lap.
Oh, indeed it is, and it's by under a tenth of a second. In fact, it's by about 200ths there, so he's right on the pace, right about it. Right on board with Paul Stump, though, and he's in the middle of a good battle. And we've always got cars from about 6th to 10th battling on here. Paul Stump chasing Kenneth Baldwin, who's only just behind Andrew Fiddler, as well as Fiddler goes and sets the fastest lap of the race. So those times starting to tumble, I think. Got a little bit of shade. Might be cooling the track down, but the tyres would have just been reaching their optimal tyre pressures and temperatures right now. And I don't know, speak to your experience on this one, but I think these cars do take a couple laps to be right at their best grip and where you can really lean on all of the grip of the slick tyres and the little bit of downforce that you have.
Yeah, 2 to 3 laps is usually what you're talking about here with this car and with this tyre model. And what you do find, though, is towards the end of the race here, with this car, the rear tyres start overheating and they start crying and saying that we've had enough. But you've got to keep on pushing, especially if you're involved in a battle like this. The lead pack is sort of, it is closing at the front, but that's what we're focusing on this battle at the moment. And the cars behind as well of Bruce Grenheim and Bill Kraus, they're pretty close together as well. So as you mentioned, 6th through to 9th, 10th place are all pretty close together on track.
That's why it's pretty good that we had that 44 or 47-ish, around that number cars to take the start. Is we, had 10 or nearly 15 on pit lane, it felt like, but we still have down to about 25th or so, I think, that have not taken a pit stop, are still racing, and are very, very close. Like you see, this sort of back straight here, behind the paddock area, certainly one of those places where you follow behind the car in front, you're definitely going to pick up another couple tenths of a second. That shouldn't be a difficult sentence.
It's a bit early for you, to be fair, so we'll give you that. Stefan Rosjan, by the way, is the first of the pit stop people. He is in 19th place now, so there is a group of 3 of Rosjan, Duma, and also Coppage. They are 3 that have been working together down there in 19th, 20th place. So they're the first of the pit stop crew, the ones that have been working their way through. They've just got past Gianni Respaldo has Rosjan, and I have to say, Respaldo has one of the best liveries on the grid here with that rather eye-catching chrome livery.
Yeah, indeed, rather metallic. Got the Italian flag on the nose to represent the Team Italian Turtles. He's out there having a race for himself, but that car is very, very reflective indeed.
Yeah, let's just hope when the sun comes out it doesn't blind the opponents, but that's a terrible joke, and we'll move swiftly on. I'm just looking through your field here as well. We have still got, 40 cars on track running at the moment. So 47 car field. It shows how the fast repair that you get in this series really does help keep a healthy number of cars out there on track. So it's plenty of action going on throughout the field. And
I'm seeing, around about this battle, because behind Andrew Fiddler, Kenneth Baldwin's just set the fastest lap of the race, so he is motoring along, has caught up to the back of Andrew Fiddler, and is looking very menacing, just a couple tenths behind.
Yeah, he certainly is. Baldwin just having a few little connection problems here and there, which is why we're not focusing on Kenneth himself and focusing on the cars around him. As you can see there, just having those connection problems, as we've got a car coming out of pit road. That is Paolo Bonacera, who's coming out of pit road at the moment, way down your field in 42nd place. So, but this battle, it's ongoing. You've got 2 cars in front that are lap traffic. The number 4 is Remigio De Pasqua, and also John Unsby ahead of them. And that is a battle for position. That's 37 to 38. So you can understand why those 2 don't just jump out the way of these drivers here who are trying to work their way through.
And we know John Unsby is no slouch, so he's been trying to keep his pace up. But indeed, eventually Andrew Fiddler is going to want to get by him, so as not to fall too rapidly into the clutches of Baldwin and Stump behind. Could be distracting, all of these cars moving about in front of Andrew Fiddler. Got to pick your braking markers pretty carefully. He's not going to get through here at Tower Turn.
No, he's not, and he's going to carry on being stuck behind as well. And this is just allowing those behind. Now, Paul Stump is just fallen back a little bit by a couple of tenths. Now, is that him just maybe sitting back, looking after his tyres, and letting these 2 duke it out to slow each other up, so that he can then just come up, rock up and pounce on it. That's a potential opportunity that he's got there. He could be sort of managing that tyre temperature and tyre wear, but this is the best opportunity that Baldwin's got. And finally, Fiddler is going to make his way past De Pasqua, and De Pasqua is taking a wide line, allowing all these drivers through, and here comes Paul Stump now on a bit of a run out of Sunset Bend.
Yes, Stump did get a good run there, just maybe got to take a wider entry than the other drivers into Sunset. And he is still just following along behind them for the minute, maybe taking notes, keeping his powder dry for the minute. This is our highest up battle in the field, 5th, 6th and 7th, because your top 4 have spread out just a little bit. Does not mean we won't have a battle later on. But this is certainly where some of the action is at. These 3 drivers battling for position, and with a little bit of traffic to contend with at points. Is Stump going to get through here past the green car? Indeed he is. That is bold on the brakes to the inside, and he stays with his little scrap and his little battle for the minute.
Yeah, he does, and that was good driving as well from the lap traffic, just to try and keep out of the way as much as possible. And that is what's happening. Oh, now Kenneth Dummer, exit of Sunset Bend. This is so easily done. Is this mistake? We'll get a replay of this then. And it's Kenneth Dummer then. We're on board with him. It's going to be through Sunset Bend. He'll just have the back end go out from him. Here we go. Inside.
Very, very tight to the apex. Bit bumpy there, but it's just later on putting the power down, and lazy little spin there, and then he almost noses it into the Armco as well. And on his way, getting it straightened out, he goes and grabs a traffic cone or two. He'll be hoping that got unstuck, and eventually it did. Oh, good.
Yeah, it did. So back to live pictures. He's down in 23rd. He's lost that little pack that he was working with of Rosgen and Coppage, and they've made their way through. Paul Stump has made his way through on Kenneth Baldwin. I think those connection issues are really starting to affect Kenneth here.
Yeah, it's been persistent of late. Might make it difficult for him. It's not difficult for Stump. To the inside of Fiddler at turn 1. Plenty of room given. Quite a tight line for Stump there, but he made his intentions clear. Now he's making it clear he's going to try and defend his freshly gained spot. So, good couple of corners, good lap also for Paul Stump there. A lot of credit to be given to these 3 drivers, because amongst all of the chaos and carnage of the first couple of laps, Paul Stump is up 5 positions now, Andrew Fiddler up 9, and Kenneth Baldwin also up 9. So just by keeping it calm, keeping it tidy, they've all picked up a handful of positions, and you can see they're not alone in being able to pick up the scraps here and there and move themselves forward.
Yeah, we have got a slight problem with one of those. It's got a bit of a gap there. That's Wally Moulsby, who's actually ended up retiring out of this race. So that's what's slightly broken that graphic there. But these the drivers, you could see the positions gained, and Russ Addy, once again, not the best qualifying from Russ, but able to get up to that second place, but he's not really been able to gain too much on your race leader, Bill Wright.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying's not too easy in these cars. Like we've mentioned, you leave pit road with these slick tyres that are not at their temperature, and they're a bit more finicky maybe than GT tyres or something else like that. And you mentioned you can't really hustle them, you can't really confidently lean on these tyres until after about 3 laps or so. So the outlap and then 2 laps in qualifying, it might not suit everyone who, people like Russ Addy here just seem to be very happy with the car in the middle stint of the race and towards the end.
Yeah, it's that long run that Russ seems to really do well with, and it's showing once again of how he's doing. In fact, he's actually caught up a chunk of time here, because he's now on the 1.1 seconds behind Bill Wright. So we could see some moves being made towards the end of this race, which would be great to see. 17 lap race, so we're over halfway, and this race has just flown by so far.
Yeah, we did check in with this lead battle when it was underneath a second, and then it sort of grew back out to about 2 seconds as they navigated their way through some traffic, and I think of late it's been just slightly chipped away at, but neither driver between first and second looks like they have a huge advantage. I think we did see some spots swap here. I think Fiddler's gone behind Kenneth Baldwin, so from leading that little pack, Andrew Fiddler looks like he's just maybe faded a little bit. He's struggling to race around Kenneth Baldwin, and Paul Stump has cleared on out from these two. He is well up the road now in the minty machine.
Yeah, you can see him there in that mint green car, the number 54 Paul Stump. He's moving forward, so about 2 seconds between himself and Kenneth Baldwin, and these two battling will of course be slowing each other down. So go through the right-hander at Le Mans down the back straight, it's the Allman straight, and then heading in towards Sunset Bend once again, and Fiddler now coming under pressure from Remigio De Pasqua in the Team Italian Turtles car, and he's a lap car, so he's made his way through now. So Fiddler, I just think maybe he's burnt up his tyres at the start of the race, and it's really come back to bite him on the backside.
Yeah, potentially could be. He's now having that struggle with the lap down De Pasqua, and right behind Bruce Granheim, Bill Kraus have caught him up as well, so he's under quite a bit of pressure, and this is a good late race charge from Granheim and Kraus, and also Jack Turner may be joining them as well. So Bruce Granheim, another big mover from about 19th on the grid, trying to size up 6th and 7th.
I will say one thing, it's great to see Bruce Granheim up here towards the front of the field. He seems to have, every time we seem to show 60 Plus Racing Adventures, something always seems to happen to him, and gets involved in some errors out on track, but right now he's in that 8th place, putting the pressure on, wanting to try and keep the pressure on here as the 999 gets out of the way. That's Klaus Puhon, and nicely done. But Bruce, I'll say it again, really great to see him up there, from the man from the plains, and he's putting a challenge on Andrew Fiddler.
Certainly is. Fiddler's fallen back a number of seconds from Baldwin and Stump though, so a couple laps left at this point. I think Granheim can definitely look towards 7th place, but any further up the road I think is becoming quite the difficult ask. Here he is, right in that slipstream, and he'll see on the dashboard if he's pulling much time in that draft. New car, quite a modern steering wheel, plenty of information given to the drivers on it.
Yeah, it's mainly like your temperatures, it's like your water temperature, oil temperature, your rev counts and what gear you're in, fuel levels as well that you'll see on that dashboard. Not really the times to the delta or anything to the other drivers. Look at that Fiddler running wide through turn 1. Had to just get out of it slightly, and that's allowed Bruce just to catch up that little bit once again, and in towards Big Bend. This is one of the places where you can get that slipstream. Oh, we've got a problem. Race
right
leader
from the lead. That lead position might be a bit cursed, so we're going to look. Bill Wright was leading the race, coming under a bit of pressure from Ross Addy. What has happened here?
Has he just hit the grass on the brakes, or had something go afoot here, or maybe got the power too early? It's the power. Oh, that's a heavy hit. We'll get another look of that here from on board. So Bill Wright on board, and you could see, David, just how getting on that power around that hairpin, and it is a little bit bumpy on the exit hairpin, isn't it? And it just unsettles the car and round it goes, which is heartbreaking for Bill Wright, who was in the lead for pretty much all the race here.
Yeah, deceptively difficult. We've seen cars loop it, all sorts of cars under power in that hairpin lose it before, and that is tough for Bill Wright. Just big impact with the concrete there. Front suspension gone, front wing gone. Bill Wright's race gone, but not his round gone, because he gets another opportunity in race 2, which I'm sure he'll be very, very thankful for. But it moves Russ Addy into the lead, and Bruce Granheim making moves here. He has got ahead of Fiddler. Bill Krause has come with as well. Jack Turner looming at the back, so 6th to 9th in the picture here. And Bruce Granheim has worked his way to the front.
Yeah, that's really, really good driving from Bruce. Getting the run out of Le Mans down the Ullman Straight and then heading into Sunset Bend. He'd made the move before Sunset Bend braking zone. And as you mentioned, Bill Krause able to just follow him, use his slipstream, and to get that slingshot. The next target, the next one looking forward, is Jack Turner out of all of this. He's wanting to get that 8th place now from Andrew Fiddler. Look at the lap time difference, by the way. Fiddler 59.5 compared to 56s from the drivers around him. Oh, and speaking of around, Jack Turner, Naylor going around.
Well held. Well held. That was almost a repeat of Bill Wright, wasn't it? But he noticed it very early. And you said rear tyres, difficult to manage at the end of the race. I think the pictures and the rest of it speaks to that.
Yeah, I did mention that. Yeah, the rear tyres will start overheating towards the end of this race, and they'll be crying foul. It's all about looking after those tyres. Oh, Bruce Granheim!
All in the grass, trying to hold on to it, pushed a little bit wide, and he's gone and lost 2 positions with that. But he's kept the car out of the walls. He's kept the car facing the right way, but it's not a rallycross car, is it?
Certainly not. We'll have a look then on board what happened to Bruce. The man now down in 8th place after working so hard to make it up into 6th place. He's carried too much speed. Back end wanting to slide out. Gets on the dirt, and that dirt just wants to pull you off the track there. He has to get off the throttle, get the car back onto the grey stuff before he puts the throttle back down again.
Difficult bend there at Tower. Another one where you've really got to get to the apex, because there's no grip off the racing line and there's no grip away from where it's just a little bit cambered at the apex. So he's gone a little bit wide, and that becomes a rapidly compounding problem for him. But he did react very well. And again, another driver just checking out the beautiful Florida soil is Andrew Fiddler. You can see where the grass is worn away at the outside of turn 1, because that is a popular and easy thing to do, and it sort of stunts Fiddler's run at Bill Krause, who has been a bit of a big winner amongst that battle around the fringes of the top 10. Roastgen having some troubles here.
Yeah, he's gone completely off track there. That's allowed Kenneth Dummer to get by. His front wing is damaged, so even though he's been on pit road and had repairs done to his car, as Stefan, he's still got damage to the front end of that car, so he's obviously got involved with somebody else here as well, and he's running slow here, so he must have a slowdown penalty that he's trying to finish off. Andrew Fiddler! Oh no, Andrew! What's happened here?
I think it's a serious case of the front falling off, and we're going to look at the replay for Andrew Fiddler. This is kind of heartbreaking here to watch this one, but it is it's a race of 17 laps, and if you had to be careful on lap 1, you've got to be careful every other lap as well. And here it is for Fiddler, chucks it into the corner, lights up those rear tyres, and just no way of stopping it on the grass. Nose first, and that is almost day done. Great ad for Cooper tyres though. Logo ended just facing right up.
Yep, certainly did. What that does mean is that Bruce Granheim moves up to 7th because of that. Jack Turner up to 8th, but with Bruce Poole making a move down the inside, the two teammates of Poole and Turner swapping places there through Sunset Bend.
They kind of look like matching boxes of toothpaste there, but good move by Poole, and Jack Turner was very, very, very generous there.
Well, don't forget, Poole is in the top 10 of the championship, so he'll be wanting to get some good points here, and take a solid result from this first race into race 2.
Yeah, certainly will be. A lot of those other drivers in the top 10 are doing well in this race.
Granheim?
Seeing maybe. who was driving that grey number
Oh
71.
no, he's having a few technical problems. He's sort of disappearing from my timing screen, so he is still there. So just like Kenneth Baldwin, having some technical problems here.
We'll be hoping that comes back to him, but we're not quite sure if it will. I was going to say that a lot of those drivers in the top 10 are having a good race today, so if you're looking to make progress up the field, you've really got to, put your foot down. You can't rely on others' mistakes, because Russ Addy, your points leader, is in first, about to take the white flag and start the last lap. Randy Shoemake, also doing very well in the points, is doing well at closing him down a little bit, so pressure at the lead, and we've seen that pressure can get to people. Yeah,
not just the pressure of the lead, but also the pressure of the tyres and the fall off of the performance of this car. You can see, look at how Shoemake was able to just carry that little bit more speed through turn number 1. This one is not over yet, not yet by a long shot.
Yeah, we are on the final lap of the race. It's a big lap. They got plenty of corners still to go. But that will be some relief for Russ Addy, who I'm sure is hoping to bring this one home, get it in the bag. The tyre fall-off might be more of a drivability thing than an outright performance thing, because Randy Shoemake set the fastest lap of the race and his personal best. He navigates a beached car there. I've heard about those Florida beaches, but there's none here in central Florida, so David Booth has found an unfortunate bump, of which there are plenty around Sebring. And then Mike McCormick in third went and set the fastest lap of the race recently as well. So they're finding speed, and it is so close at the lead here. Just 2/10 in it. Russ Addy is coming under immense pressure here. Late apex, late turn in from Randy Shoemake. He's trying to set up the exit, set up a run to grab the lead on the final lap. Bit of traffic in front of them, but it's all going to be about the drive out of Le Mans onto the back straight, and then the run through Sunset Bend, and that is difficult for Russ Addy. He needs to keep his head on a swivel, but works his way cleanly through the traffic, and this is what I'm talking about. Shoemake setting up the run, the late apex, closing for the lead, 1/10 of the second. Underneath the second, they go too wide to the final corner. Randy Shoemake's going to have to go around the outside, but if you're brave, you can do that at Sunset Bend. Just has his nose in front. Russ Addy, though, down the inside, might scare Shoemake a little bit. Will he push wide? This is going to be so close. A drag race to the checkered flag. Race 1 here in 60 Plus Racing Adventures, and I think that might have been Russ Addy by the slimmest of margins, but what a race Randy Shoemake gave him.
There we go, confirmation comes up on screen. Russ Addy, your race winner. My goodness, that was really close at the end there. We'll try and get a better look at this. I'm not getting any good decent camera positions here, but there we go, across the line, absolutely neck and neck. We'll get the official results at the end of it, but that is sensational finish. We'll have a look from on board Randy then, because it was all going down into the final turn here. It was a great run out of Le Mans down the Ulman Straight. He knows he's got the outside line here, and he knows that Russ is going to do everything as he can to hold that inside line, to take the wide line, get on the brakes a little bit earlier, get on the power earlier to get the cut back here. That's what Randy tries to do, coming up alongside and not quite getting it.
Yeah, good stuff from both of our top drivers in this championship. You can see how both of them are in the top 10 of the points when we've had many drivers. So good racing, space given, but both of them really wanted to grab that win, and Shoemake's trying to switch it back underneath. But in the end, it came up just a couple cents short on that transaction. We've got the final drivers on the lead lap taking the checkered flag. They include Richard Varley and Lewis Cannell here. Stefan Rostjan just on the lead lap in 22nd. Defending champion. I don't know if he's just not adjusted to this car, if he's just not having a good run of it in this particular season. Don't count him out to bounce back, but not a good race for him so far.
Yeah, he'll be spitting feathers over that result, will John Morgan, after leading very early on. But we'll get you the final results up on screen.
Indeed, we will. So your points leader, Russ Addy, locks in a win and the bag of 35 points that goes with it. He can't improve on that one in race 2, but if he's a competitor, he'll still be out there mixing it wheel to wheel. And that margin, Randy Shoemake, just a hundredth of a second in it between first and second at the line. Great racing. Those two drivers 8 seconds clear of the rest of the field. That was Mike McCormick, Paul Stump, Kenneth Baldwin, Bill Kraus. Bruce Granheim did make it home in the end there in 7th, which was good to see. Jack Turner in 8th, Bruce Poole in 9th, and Bob Kern sneaks his way into the top 10. Urs Muller is in 11th. France Brink got 12th place. Leroy Coppedge there. Bit of a disappointing run from him after qualifying in the top 10, but still finishes on the lead lap in 13th. Douglas Beasley has 14th place. Bob Cohen there in 15th, ahead of Donald Fitterer in 16th. John Arles for 17th. Gianni Rispaldo in one of your favourite liveries in 18th. Ian Wilson 19th. And Richard Varley finishes in 20th.
Looking through the rest of the field then, Lewis Canal, Stefan Rosjen, we mentioned, having a nightmare out there, having to pit early on in this one, 22nd. John Morgan from the lead in the first 3 laps ends up down at minute 59 to the last driver on the lead lap. Kenneth Durmer, Andrew Fiddler, another one who was on for a good result here until that mistake. Drops down to 25th. Remigio De Pasqua, Fred McIntosh, Barry Hills, Richard Coulomb and Michael Bailey round out 30th. David Booth and Klaus Pohan in 32nd. Jose Campodonico with Gene Moore, Dev Donnelly, Joel Martin 2 laps down, and then the rest of the drivers who appear to not finish that race: David Sestella, Bill Wright, Wally Moresby, John Unsby, who had an early issue, Jerry Kurt, Larry Thomas, Paolo Bonacera, Greg Garris, Jared Florison, Pierre Dion and Donald Poole all did not finish the race here, and I believe we do have an interview.
Yeah, it does look like we've got the second place man, Randy Shoemake. So I'll drag him in here, and we've spoken to the Texan before, but Randy Shoemake, how are you feeling after that race here at Sebring?
Excited, a little bit disappointed, but a great finish for our team. Russ and I are teammates, so 1-2 is either direction is great.
And what a battle you guys have had there to the checkered flag. We had to get the timing sheet out to know who had won it. That's how close you guys were. What was your strategy? What was your planning? What were you trying to do on the final lap there?
Make sure that I got the draft down the last straightaway. I thought that would give me the chance if I had an opportunity possibly to pass him earlier, but it just set me up to get past. So I made my best attempt, and it was close.
Yeah, it certainly was 1/100th of a second as you guys crossed the stripe there. We saw the point standings at the start of the broadcast. Russ Addy at the top. You're right in the mix as well. What is it you like about this car now you've had a couple rounds, couple races to settle in with the new Indy Pro 2000?
David, I really like the car. I don't know why. I've talked with Russ, and my biggest curiosity is for the people that were mastered the Pro Mazda and are not caught up yet. What changes are it? And it's put a lot of us that weren't as good in the Pro Mazda moved us to the top. So I'd love to know what the differences are in each car that fits someone else's driving style.
Certainly, it's been a breath of fresh air to this championship, though. I mean, season to season, it's sort of gone strength to strength. The quality of the racing and the community, I think, has drawn a lot of people in. But it does seem like people are sticking around for the car as well.
Yes, sir. We've had a great influx of new members into the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League. It's been great to have the new ones. They're courteous. They're driving hard and making it close. That's it. It's brought on a lot of new people, and we've really enjoyed it. The racing's been great.
Randy Shoemake, great battle, great show. We loved to see it in race 1. Go well in race 2. Best of luck.
Thank you very much, David. You'll have a great day. Thanks for broadcasting the races, and I want to say hello to my parents watching today, and I hope they enjoyed it. And congratulations to Russ on a great victory.
Well said. Thank you so much. Best of luck once again.
Thank you.
Paul, are we maybe going to grab another interview for you?
We certainly are, and it's going to be with our third place driver from race number 1, Mike McCormick. So, Mike, first of all, welcome along to the broadcast booth. Secondly, you started third, you finished third. Quite an eventful race, though, still.
Yes, it was.
Just basically talk us through that one, because of course we saw how Russ and also Randy were able to come through the field. Did you feel that you were running at your limit of pace? Was it just something about the conditions, or maybe the traffic got involved as well, didn't it?
Well, the first part of the race, my fronts were locking up a little bit. I had to adjust my brake bias, which caused me some problems. And then Randy went through the traffic a lot better than I did, and it just didn't work out quite as well.
But still, third place in this first race, really strong result for you. We've got another race coming up here, and of course you'll be setting your sights a little bit further up on that podium to maybe get the top step.
Do our best. That's all we can do.
Absolutely. Well, we'll let you get off, but before we let you go, is there anyone you just want to give a quick mention to whilst you're here in the broadcast?
My teammate Donald, I don't know what happened to him in the race. I think he had some bad luck, but I wish he'd been up there with me.
Well, all we'll say is all the best for race number 2, and have a good race out there.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. That's Mike McCormack then, third place, and had a good race there. Yes, he started third, finished third, but it's still a podium result and some real good points.
Yeah, indeed it is, and you can take that one to the bank after race 1, because you can only go upwards from here in race 2. Like we mentioned, interesting points format that we always have to touch on in this championship. 2 races, and the championship points that you take is your best result from either of them. So an opportunity for the drivers to improve in race 2. That's going to be at Sebring here once again for the same number of laps. It's not far away, but we are going to take an ad break between now and then, and we'll be back just in a minute on RaceSpotTV with race 2 of 60 plus racing adventures from the Sebring full layout. Welcome back everyone, thanks for sticking with us. It's time for Race 2, this round of 60 plus racing adventures at Sebring. Conditions very much the same as Race 1. We're looking to do it all over again, and the drivers, many of whom had a difficult time of Race 1, be looking for some redemption here in Race 2. Just a reminder, I'm David Haynes. Paul Smith pressing the buttons, cursing his internet and his PC, and making sure you get the beautiful pictures of this fantastic race that we have got. And it's qualifying right now for Race 2, Paul. The drivers are out there in this 10-minute session. And it looks like they get 2 or 3 laps to put in their best.
It'd be a good idea if I unmuted my microphone. Yes, they do get, I believe it's 3 laps around here, and one driver that we're going to look at then is going to be John Unsby with his lap. So we'll get rid of that graphic and put that graphic on, because it is John. We're on board with him now into turn number 1. Bumpy corner. You see the bump mid-corner pushes the car wide. Down into turn 2 now, tricky. You've got to get a late apex here. Into 3, avoid the curb. 4 now, you've got to carry the speed out of this corner in towards Big Bend. Underneath the bridge. Get it out to the left hand side. Watch for your braking marker. Onto the brakes then, hard braking. Try not to lock up a wheel. Hold the apex then. Get on the power nice and early out of the hairpin. Through Fangio. It's not much of a corner, but it's named after the 5-time Formula 1 World Champion. And then bang onto the brakes again. Tight right-hander, second gear. Watch your power application through here. The back end can slide out and come unsettled. Then onto the brakes again for Tower. Late apex, it's cambered onto the power once again. Onto the right hand side, look for the curb on the left there. There's 1 apex, then there's another curb, that's 2 apexes. Get it up to the left for this chicane. Up over the curb on the right, he's pushed the car a little bit wide, clip that curb on the left. Lamar, he's not reached the apex, but he can run it out wide over that curb. Down the Ullman straight now, heading in towards Sunset Bend. This is the challenging corner of the track, because you want to get as clean an entry as possible. Brake, try and brake it in a straight line as possible. Through the bumps, carry the speed out the corner, and then you're going to go across the line to start the second lap of your qualifying, and a 55.6 is what has been scored for John Morgan.
Yeah, and confirming for you, our drivers get 2 flying laps in this session. And, well, you get a full out lap to help you warm your tyres. I'm not sure they're perfect on the first flying lap. Look for a lot of drivers to improve and have more confidence on the second lap. But time's pouring in now. We've got about 22 times on the board now. Looks like might have slightly fewer drivers for race 2. I'm seeing 39 hanging around right now. But there's where they are at the minute. Remigio de Pasqua, good first lap time on the board. Just eclipsed John Morgan, who we rode on board with. And then Donald Poole is rounding out the top 3 for the minute. Our drivers to watch, I think, Russ Addy and Randy Shoemake. Shoemake's in 5th, Addy in 7th at the minute. So, see if they push on a little bit harder in lap 2. We're looking at one of the Team Italian Turtles. A couple of those drivers, once again, bringing some flair and some European flavour to this championship.
It's De Pasqua that we're looking at the moment.
De Pasqua we're looking at, but there was 3 or 4 of them in race 1, so it's good to have them around.
Yeah, absolutely. And this second lap is the crucial one here, because the tyres are a bit more with it, got a bit more grip coming out of them, and they'll be trying to get a better lap on the second lap. Slightly lighter car, because of course you've burnt off fuel for 2 laps. You've just got to get to the end of this lap to be able to set your lap time here. Onto the brakes. What can he do? Can he improve De Pasqua here? We'll see the times on the left hand side. First 18 covered by 1.6 seconds, but here he comes to the line. McCormick has moved up to 3rd.
Yeah, once again, a lot of our drivers' times all pouring in together in a bit of a flood here. Paul Stump goes to the top. John Morgan looks like he improved again. Same too for Remigio de Pasqua, but just not by enough. So we look for Stefan Rostjan, your defending champ. Tough race 1, but we know he is resilient, persistent, and not easily shaken. So maybe he'll go better in race 2. Looking for what we might see out of him, sitting in 17th right now. He'll be hoping that this lap can be an improvement for him. He's taken the same colours and the same livery off the Pro Mazda and wrapped them around the Indy Pro 2000. So he is still very easy to find in the field in that sort of red and yellow machine and his normal helmet.
And the bright pink or purpley pink wheels as well, don't forget those.
Must know someone who can do some spray coating.
Yeah, doesn't improve his lap time, so that's it for Stefan. No more qualifying times for him. Jack Turner. Now, this was a driver who had a good first race, was coming through the field. He's not set any qualifying times at the moment. Randy Shoemaker up to 5th place in qualifying. Donald Poole is 4th. Apologies for the graphical error on the side.
It happens when it's too hot.
Well, it's too hot, and it's also a little bit close at the front of your field. It's 1.149 of a second between first and second place, so really close between those. Then you're looking at hundredths of seconds covering third and fourth, and also fourth to fifth, and fifth to sixth, and then you've got a little bit of a gap to Bill Wright in 7th place. The man who was leading the majority of that first race, Bill Wright, 7th place, not the best qualifying for him so far.
Yeah, he was clean in the race except for when he wasn't, so if he can be clean in race 2, I'm sure he can move up a little bit from 7th place. And Jack Turner, who we are looking at here, must have had a problem on his first qualifying lap. I'm seeing he's used a lap of qualifying but has not recorded a time, so he might have gone for a spin, might have gone off track and had his time deleted. So this is all or nothing for Jack Turner coming out of Sunset Bend to use up his second qualifying lap. He'll be hoping this one was smooth, he'll be hoping it was clean, he'll be hoping it was quick. Jack Turner in the 55 car rockets up the timing sheet, but only into 16th. So a time on the board, but you've got to be tidy and precise in these qualifying sessions when you only get 2 laps.
You certainly do. Bob Kern, I believe he's used up his qualifying laps, so he'll just be out there doing a little bit of final practice. Of course, the 1 minute or under 1 minute remaining in qualifying here, so we're looking at those times there, though, and well, not so much the times, but the position. Stump, great lap, 55.2 to be able to take pole position. But as I mentioned, 1 second covering first down to 11th place. So Leroy Coppage is the first one outside of that 1 second bracket. And yeah, it's really good. We'll look at those conditions again. Track temperature is actually 2 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the start of the race in the first race. But of course, that will heat up as we head towards the start of the race.
Yeah, partly cloudy means, the clouds and the sun come and go. Track temperature has a bit of variability to it. And we'll see how we go for race 2. Time elapses on qualifying. Pace car going to lead us for our full pace lap from about where we are here. Barney would have had a great view there of the battle for the lead in race 1. Let's hope we get almost as much excitement in race 2. Pretty close on the grid, and we know that they race even closer. So Paul Stump at the pointy end of the field. John Morgan in a good position in second. Remigio de Pasqua, good qualifying effort for third. Donald Poole in 4th. 5th place, this man we spoke to after race 1, Randy Shoemaker. Good result for him. Greg Garris then in 6th. Bill Wright in 7th. We've mentioned that one already. An identical time, but it isn't, to Mike McCormick. The graphics are deceptive, but again, very close inside our top 11, as you said. 9th place, Bruce Granheim. And 10th, Russ Addy. Can he go back-to-back from 10th place? He certainly gained a lot of positions in race 1. Bruce Poole is in 11th on the grid. Leroy Coppage is in 12th.
Andrew Fiddler then 13th. We've been looking for a better race than race 1. Barry Hill 14th. Urs Muller, good qualifying for him in 15th place ahead of Jack Turner, who we saw cross the line in 16th place. Fred McIntosh, Team Rusty Nut, 17th ahead of Stefan Rosjan, the defending champion, 18th. Michael Bailey, 19th. Bob Kern rounds out row number 10. Row 11, Dev Donnelly with John Unsby, who will be looking for a better result than race 1. Richard Coulomb and Douglas Beasley. To be honest, everyone here on the grid will be looking for a better result than race 1. Bob Cohen, Kenneth Durmat, Richard Varley and Wally Moulsby. 28th with Pierre Dion and Lewis Cannell rounded out row 15.
Slightly thinner grid than race 1, but still looking very, very competitive to bring it home in 33rd. Ronald McManus might take the start. Jerry Kerr also with a time on the board, maybe less than representative. Klaus Pahoyen in 35th. Joel Martin in 36th. And then Bill Kraus, no time. Vince Ball, no time. Jose Carlos Campodonico, no time. And same too for John Arles. And we still might see them at the back of the grid making the start. 40 drivers eligible for race 2. You can probably hear them doing their pace lap around the circuit. Once again, the drivers take this opportunity to just get a little bit of tyre heat, because lap 1 you go racing, and we saw a couple drivers get caught out by just not having the full grip underneath them that they had at the end of qualifying. Really got to build up the pace nice and steady in these cars.
Yeah, so we saw how a few drivers seemed to struggle towards the end of the race in terms of their pace and keeping the car on the straight and narrow. So will people take a little bit of a different approach to this race? Maybe look after the tyres in the early stages, maybe not push them quite as hard as they would like to at the start of the race, and then as you go through the race you'll then start picking up places on those that are struggling a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes, but certainly these drivers, I've not seen that many people actually doing a bit of weaving and trying to really put the heat into those tyres.
Yeah, we definitely saw it before the start of race 1, so we'll see how everyone goes off the start of race 2 here. I think there's two different mindsets for our drivers though. The ones who had a poor result in race 1 be taking it more cautiously in race 2 to get something on the board, but the drivers who had a good run in race 1, thinking Russ Addy, Randy Shoemaker, Mike McCormick, maybe they throw a little more caution to the wind in race 2, knowing they've got some points in the bank. So I think everyone approaches race 1 with a similar attitude, but race 2, now there's drivers with different things to fight for and different objectives, I feel.
Yeah, a few different positions will be fought for, a few different results will be wanted here, and
now here's some of the weaving.
Yeah, here's some of the weaving, and some of those drivers will be wanting to really make the most of this opportunity. As we've mentioned before, best result from the 2 races end up as your points that you take into the championship. So Russ Addy, the man who won race 1, is under no pressure for this race now.
Yeah, he's taking it to the bank, but if he can grab back-to-back wins, he stops anyone else putting 35 points to their name. So championship-wise, if he can grab a win in this race, he also betters his position. Pace car has the lights off, it pulls in, and your front row of Stump and Morgan get racing at Sebring, beating the life out of that green flag to let us know we are racing. And for 3rd place, my goodness, bit of a squeeze there, you've got to be careful. Paul Stump with a hell of a slide through turn 1 as well. Those rear tyres, mighty cold for everyone. And drivers need to be cautious as they sort themselves out through the first couple corners, and it is that turn 2 that really concertinas the field more than turn 1 does in these cars. So far so good, bit of a wiggle there from Russ Addy, and Mike McCormick, who we spoke to after race 1, has gone backwards a couple spots here. Moves being made. So this looks like
it's Addy. It's Russ Addy making moves on a few there's Greg Garris. Oh, we've got all sorts going off at the hairpin. And Greg Garris, I'm trying to find him. Oh, he's right there in the middle of the way. Hold your brake. Now go for it. Get out the way. There's a car flying through there. We'll try and have a look at what happened to him here. If it'll give me the replay, it won't. Oh, well, that's a shame. It appears my my replay functionality is broken, so we'll try and get that fixed, but we'll look back to the front.
Indeed we will, because it's a great little battle forming up here. Good run from pole position for Paul Stump. John Morgan has come with him, as you can see though. Just a couple tenths in that one. And behind Randy Shoemake, Russ Addy up 6 positions so far on lap 1. What a one-lap wonder he has been for lap 1, but then also consistent across the races. So Addy qualifying decently, but my goodness does he just race well. Paul Stump feeling the cold tyres through Sunset, very wide, no hint of an apex whatsoever there, has let John Morgan get very, very close. So the pressure's on, the tyre temperatures aren't there yet though.
Certainly not, but they'll be getting better and better for these drivers, and feeling better for them. Hopefully everything is going to be starting working now once again for me. Apologies about that. But yes, heading through Big Ben now are your race leaders. And oh, we've got more people off. Fred McIntosh has had an incident.
Richard Coulon has also had some problems. We're going to grab a replay if it will let us, and
no, it's not.
Still looks like it's a replay machine broke. But
yeah,
the live
so,
action
yeah,
is
we'll have to stick.
well.
Have to stick with live action, I'm afraid. Technical problems. Well, it's what you get with live broadcasting, isn't it? But let's have a look on board then. Bill Wright battling with Donald Poole. It's Bill Wright who's made his way past into 5th place.
Indeed he has. Bill Wright up 2 spots. Donald Poole back 2. But still looking good here in the green machine. Sitting in a good spot. Maybe looking after those tyres like you said might be a necessity in this race. Who knows? But you've got to be in it to win it. And as long as you stay within about a second of the car in front, I don't think they're getting away, provided neither of you make any mistakes. But he's trying. He's trying. He's weaving all over and around. And you're not going to trick Donald Poole with that one. Bruce Granheim in the beige grey car. I'm going to call it maybe a stone grey. I like that. For him, sticking with this fight as well. So familiar names from race 1. Drivers who are confident with the track, confident with the car. Shining at the front once again. You see more drivers on pit road. I think overall a little bit cleaner than race 1, but still a difficult race at the start, and poor Greg Garris just stuck with nowhere to go in the traffic.
Yeah, he's really struggling there. Further down your
Notice
field.
something on board here with Donald Poole. Bit of a short shift into 3rd gear in places, because he does not want to be spinning up those rear tyres.
Down into the hairpin. This is the place where you can hear him on the limiter on the exit of the hairpin. But we're going to have to move forward because your lead battle, John Morgan and Paul Stump, this is getting a little bit heated now between these two.
Yeah, it is underneath half a second, but you don't need the numbers when you can see the racing with your eyes. You know that John Morgan's going to be a noticeable figure in the mirrors for Paul Stump, who also needs to have his wits about him for the traffic ahead as well. Both of these guys race cleanly, and I'm sure we'll have their focus forward for that traffic. It's something they do need to be aware of as they get good VIP treatment with the red carpet rolled out. Doesn't interfere with our lead battle. And Morgan just looming present with Paul Stump.
Ooh, car off in the grass. That was Donald Poole on the exit of Le Mans. So he's going to come under pressure from Leroy Coppage, and that's going to be a change of position for them. Russadi and Randy Shoemaker picking up from where they left off in that last race as well. So those two battling away. And look at the run that Shoemake gets off of the final turn into turn
That's his
1.
party piece, isn't it?
I'm sure he would have liked to have had that wrapped up before the line in the previous race, but it's worked for him this time. And as he mentioned, the two of them teammates, they'll be pushing on together and really trying to push forward towards John Morgan and Paul Stump.
Oh dear, someone else around there, the outside of the corner, but off the racing line. Everyone carries on as they were. Wally Molesby, you say, and he's got very cautious, very careful, getting going again. Rightly so, but unfortunate to be there in the first place. Great battles in our top 5 here. First and second, spicy. Third and fourth, medium heat simmering towards the boil. And I'm sure Randy Shoemake and Russ Addy would love to go a 1-2 in back-to-back races, and they have pulled a couple tenths of a second on the last couple laps out of the lead, so they've worked their way through the field, and now they're coming for first and second. Shoemake and Addy do look like they race better than they qualify.
We've got a car off behind an advertising
I've seen Michael Bailey
He's missing
had
a rear
some
wing.
problems.
We've got replay functionality working again. Let's see what's happening.
Here we go.
So Bailey, is this going to be on the exit of this corner? No, it's contact into the corner. Heavy contact. Well, it's not the slightest bit of contact. Oh, and he loses the rear wing. And that's him out the race.
Not a heavy contact with the wall, but just a tap in the wrong place there, and the rear wing has said bye-bye. So it's a shame there for those drivers. Lap times are heating up though, as Paul Stump has just set the fastest lap of the race, just about matched by John Morgan. So Paul Stump, John Morgan getting their speed underneath them, so that they are not caught by Shoemake and Addy, who were a couple tenths off them on that particular lap. So the trend reverses, and our top 2 start to stretch away once again. We've got the timing tower, and now we don't, but there it is. Shoemake and Addy, you can see, close together, about 2.5 seconds off the lead, as they swap again. Addy down the inside of Shoemake. Bold move, job well done. So these two guys, I think, not afraid to race each other in race 2.
Yeah, both got, first and second last race, so they'll be pushing on and trying to get a really good result again, possibly a 1-2, but they're going to be tough to catch up to those front 2 of Stump and Morgan. You can see the gaps, 30 seconds already covering the first to 18th, so that field has just spread out quite a bit through the opening stages of the race here. But yeah, Morgan and Stump, that's going to be one that I want to sort of keep abreast on, because Morgan, he'll be desperate to get a race win from this one, because after the mistake he made in race 1, should I say, he'll be just wanting to finish this one off with a good point score.
Certainly will be, but I think it's been clever from Stump and Morgan. We have not seen them battling each other yet, and the minute they start doing that, Addy and Shoemake will be all over it. So Stump just, trying to break the draft subtly in some places. But Morgan hasn't been throwing any lunges or dives just yet. He's been content to roll along with this battle. Morgan goes and grabs the fastest lap of the race, so definitely feels like a couple laps into the race they really get their confidence, really hit their stride.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing there is these drivers just looking after the tyres in the first 4 laps or so, and then as you mentioned, get into their stride and really push on. And here comes Morgan then. He's closed up, but he's not going to make a move into the hairpin. But the intent is there now. Morgan wants to, if he can sit right on the gearbox of Paul Stump now for the next 7 or 8 corners, he'll be in a really good spot going down the Ullman Straight.
Yeah, I think if you're going to make a move stick, that run off Le Mans, absolutely critical. You can turn in too early for that particular corner, but it's all about the exit from that section of corners. So We'll see exactly what John Morgan does, and once again, as you take the look up the road, there's a little bit of lapped traffic for these drivers to deal with, as there was in race 1. And poor John Unsby, you know, to be in this circumstance again, about to go off the lead lap. We know he's a good racer, he's grabbed some race wins before. But obviously, Sebring or this car not doing him any favours.
No, absolutely not. And I think he's going to get in the way of John here again. Oh, no, he's getting out the way, is Mr. Unsby. Thank you very much. I'm glad you did.
John's solidarity.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's good, because it means it keeps this lead battle pretty close together as they go across the line again. Start of lap 6. But as you mentioned, this lap traffic, there's not as many this time as there was in race 1 who have had to make a run to the pits. But they will become a factor in the lead of this race. Douglas Beasley, right in the middle of Sunset Bend. Oh, that's heart, it really gets the heart going, does that, when you see that, because you know as a driver, you come round there, you've got no view of what's going on. He's battling, backed off. I don't know, but he's carried way too much speed into that corner.
I think the speed might not have even been the issue. He's just asked too much from the steering wheel early in the corner there, and that was a difficult spot for him to be, but he managed to grab the reverse gear, get out of there. And he'll be more careful in future, I'm sure, but yeah, you've obviously, you know, got a lot of front end grip on the car at that point, and if you use too much of it, you ask too much, then the rear gives way. So shame for Beasley there, but he got it going again, and he was very, very good to not hit the wall.
Certainly did. You've got 8th Donald Poole, 7th Leroy Coppage, and then 6th place Bruce Granheim altogether. So battling further down, Bruce Granheim coming under intense pressure there from Leroy Coppage. Coppage is on a bit of a charge here.
Yeah, a bit of a difference in braking markers there. Nothing foul came of it. As we ride once again, and you see he just grabs an extra car length or two following in the slipstream, and that's exactly what you need to help you get a move done. You see it in these entry-level single-seaters all the time, just following in the wheel tracks of the car in front, getting that slipstream, very, very important. There's a good exit off Sunset though, and that is important as well for Bruce Granheim, as him and Coppage both set personal best lap times on that particular lap.
Andrew Fiddler, fastest lap of the race. He's in 10th place, and he's battling with Remigio de Pasqua. So wanting to move forward is Andrew, after he faded away before losing control and hitting the wall towards the end of race number 1. John Unsby now in front of this little gaggle of cars together. Are they going to go 3 wide? No, they're not. But Unsby off the gas, off the brakes, just get it out of the way. Nice driving from John once again to allow this little group of cars to make their way past. But we've got to look forward, because John Morgan has been getting rather close on my timing screen to Paul Stump.
Yeah, lap 8 of 17, and so just about at that halfway point in the race right now. Paul Stump and John Morgan, I don't think, have ever been separated by more than a second. They have been joined at the hip since the green flag dropped. That is very, very clever from John Morgan, I think. He's doing what he needs to do to make amends and seek justice after race 1. Someone is having some problems there.
We'll get you a replay. It's Barry Hills. It's Barry Hills who's had the problem, the man from the UK and Ireland, car number 66. I'm expecting to have him lose control on the power out of this corner. Let's have a look. Gets on the power, and into the tyres. Well, he actually made it to the tyres, whereas the incident that we saw in the first race, they actually missed the tyres and went into the arm curb, but he's now back on pit road after taking a tour.
I would rather hit the tyres for 2 reasons. 1, a little bit softer. 2, you are less likely to break some Armco and have to pay for it.
That is true. That is very, very true.
It's expensive at Watkins Glen. It's probably expensive here as well. Not sure. Don't ever want to find out. So, lead battle. Beautiful livery there for John Morgan. Eye-catching. Nice soft colours. Goes with Paul Stump. And still, it's just every time I look, you know, it's 4 tenths, it's 5 tenths, it's 6 tenths between these two drivers. The real question is, what's their pace like compared to Addy and Shoemake behind, who I think are just having good fun battling each other here.
Yeah, they're just having fun. I think if you're Russadi, as you pointed out before the start of this race, I think Russadi wants to get to the front of the field so that he can pull out more of an advantage in the driver's standings. I think that's going to be crucial for him.
He can occupy a spot in the top 5 here, and in doing so prevent other drivers from racking up as many points, and in doing so increase the delta of points that he takes away from this round compared to some of his key rivals, which apparently is going to include Randy Shoemake. So there we are. That's probably the thoughts for Addy. He's pressing on now, but he is just tantalizingly, as you can tell from that shot, maybe just a little bit too far away to pick up a toe. Douglas Beasley will be hoping that next time the camera cuts to him, it'll be for something more pleasant than this. All of his screen time in this race, he will probably be less than pleased with. Paul, what's the replay here?
Well, it's going to be our favourite corner here. We just saw it a couple of laps ago. Douglas Beasley onto the power. Now look at that, straight away onto the brakes, locks up all the tyres. It won't be nice for those tyres pumping a load of heat through them, but he keeps out the wall more importantly, and keeps going in this race.
Yeah, when in doubt, both feet in. I don't know if these cars even have a physical clutch pedal. It's probably a paddle, but indeed, good reactions there. It stops the rotation of the car, lets him pick it up, face it the correct direction, and get going again. Closest we've seen for the lead in a minute. It was at 2 tenths or so there before they got to the braking zone, and John Morgan was rather ginger once more. So will we see him make a move? Will he keep his powder dry for later on, or will he be happy to just bag a potential second place here?
That's a very tricky question. If you ask John, he wants a win. He'll want a win right now. If it gets to the last lap and he's made some attempts and not been able to make the move stick, I wouldn't expect him to push it too hard. But I mean, you can see how they're trading times on the lap graphics there. So they're pretty evenly matched, these two. And as we mentioned before the start of race 1, it's a fixed setup series. So they're all running the same setup. They're all in the same car. It's all down to driver ability and driver control of this car. And that's another thing that makes this series so really good.
The last lap, Russ Addy set the fastest lap of the race in 3rd place, and he has closed in on this lead battle. He is almost within a second now of John Morgan, so he might be starting to pick up some of the toe, and that will even further help him close in for the lead. So you've got to be careful if you're Stump and you're Morgan, because Russ Addy is coming along and he's broken the shackles from Randy Shoemake as well. So this is the Russ Addy we saw in race 1 as well, just starting well and continuing to build up the pace until there was no one who could quite match his lap times. Here he is, just increasingly taking time out of John Morgan. He just needs to get, within 1 second, and he can follow along in the draft.
Yeah, you can see that last 2 laps, 0.453 and 0.744, reeling in the front 2 here. So
it's huge gains for how consistent our top 4 cars have been here. He's just found another gear and pushed on when it's been very smooth, very consistent lap times from everyone.
If I'm John Morgan, I want to make that move now. I want to get past the leader right now and try and run away. At the front, it'd be very difficult. I mean, Paul Stump, we've seen time and again in this series, is a very, very capable and fast driver. So he's won races in the past as well in this series. So he's got the ability at the front. But John Morgan, he'll want to get past, wants to get the lead, and hope that Paul Stump holds up Russ Addy when they start tripping over each other for him to move away. That's what will be going on in his head. He'll be seeing that car, that yellow and black car behind, getting closer and closer, and thinking, I need to make some money moves now.
Stump is wide through Sunset once again, but still manages to pick up an exit. It's a bit like Olympic diving, I think, that corner. You know, you need a smooth entry, good rotation, and, well, it's about a 6 from this judge for that one.
Not too much splash either. That's a key thing as well.
That is absolutely key. No splash, no crunch. Unfortunately for Donald Poole, he has had one of those things. Replay machine working, and we're going to see, has he just pushed it too hard, or was there foul play?
Well, he's battling De Pasqua there. We'll keep it on the replay in a second. De Pasqua was sliding, so that's what's happened there. De Pasqua was sliding. Donald Poole is the innocent party in that, and they end up pulling away, still running. But we're keeping on the replay, and this is why. Look at the mistake that Paul Stump has made through turn 3. It compromises him on the exit of turn 4, and there goes John Morgan around the outside into the lead of the race.
I think that was the opportunity he was waiting for, just sticking there with Stump till Stump made a mistake, and you saw he was just wide in a couple places here, out of position, sliding the front tyres, and Morgan does not need a second invitation on this particular one. Sees his opportunity and grabs it with both hands. But that's brought the top 4 much closer together as we go back to the live pictures, because with that swap, Russ Addy is in the picture, Randy Shoemake is in the picture, and you saw a little mistake there from Stump out of Lamar corner, which we said was so critical. So this might be what Morgan needs, like you said.
Yeah, so Morgan now, he'll be just focused, laser focused on just hitting his marks, getting his braking right, getting on the accelerator correctly, not to spin up the rear tyres too much. Get it perfect around this track, because you can see 1st to 4th place now, covered by 1.1 seconds. We're on board with Randy Shoemake. And I think Paul Stump, with him forging that path at the front of the field, I think he's worked his tyres that little bit too much.
Yeah, it is starting to look just...
Oh!
There you go, your leader, John Morgan, into the wall. Not what he wanted at all after race 1. He'd been so patient, and now the corner where he grabbed the lead a lap ago, he's made a mistake, and we are going to ride on board for this replay, and you're going to see exactly how. And I think it's a difficult curb on the exit. He might have pushed too wide with the power on the curb. The replay will tell the story. There he is on the exit, bouncing across the curb in the dirt. The car starts to rotate, and then crunch for John Morgan, and that is a little heartbreaking, I think.
Certainly is. He's back on pit road, and he will be absolutely gutted with that one mistake. We saw it live. He just came straight across the shot. But what this means now is we've got a really close battle for first place between 3 drivers, 2 of which are teammates, and Randy Shoemake, the man at the back of this queue, fastest lap. And by the way, look who's hanging around in the background of that shot there in the yellow and black car. It's none other than Bill Wright. He's
been fastest on track a couple laps in a row here, helped by mistakes and fighting. As you see a slide on entry for Paul Stump. Addy takes the tight line, and I think he's got his nose in front here, doing what Randy Shoemake wishes he could have done on the last lap, last race. They're still side by side coming to turn 1. Stump with the inside line now, and I think his persistence has been rewarded as he parks it on the apex, slows up Russ Addy. Now Shoemake taking a look for second place, taking a look for the lead as well, but he can't grab that. So in the end, the result, 2nd and 3rd swap places. 4th place joins the party, and more troubles, putting the power down for Stump. And I think the lead's gone for him now.
Yeah, I think that is the lead gone, absolutely. Shoemake and Addy, they're battling it out into the hairpin, and we were on board with the man in 4th place because Bill Wright is now with these drivers. Half a second covers your first 4 drivers. This is sensational stuff, but as we've mentioned, little mistakes here and there, getting on the power too hot, and well, there's another mistake this time from Russ Addy.
Yeah, looked like he locked maybe a front brake. We heard from Shoemake and McCormick about moving the brake bias around a little bit, a fixed setup, but that is one of the adjustments in the cockpit that they can do, is move that bias, rearwards or forwards, and maybe it needs to go a little rearwards for Russ Addy. What a great little race for 17 laps though, because the first half of the race, I think everyone was pretty cool, calm and methodical, but now they see the laps ticking down, and it's elbows out for our drivers now. Shoemake at the lead, has half a second over his friend and teammate Russ Addy. Paul Stump, it started to come unraveled. He's, looking a little out of sorts in places, and Bill Wright has a good view of that. He tries to size him up and wonders what he can grab as we're going to approach 3 laps to go across the line this time.
But you can see those different lines, 4 cars going into that final corner and 4 different lines taken there. And again, through turn 1, different lines taken, but I don't think that was through choice. Paul Stump running wide. Oh, Wright just not able to make that move, and that has cost them about a half a second between 3rd and 4th place. They do not want to fight too hard because that'll allow the leaders to pull ahead. Speaking of the leaders, they're going side by side. We're side by side for 3rd place as well. Addy on the brakes, locking up. Bill Wright has gone through, but Addy is now into the lead.
Yeah, he came absolutely barreling in there, pushed quite wide, but then in the end he managed to get the power down in the end, get in front of Randy Shoemake. A lot happening in your top 4 there, and this is a look from Shoemake, who is very, very well versed in trying to cut back underneath for the crisscross. Didn't make it stick this time, but he still has plenty of miles, plenty of opportunity to get back to the lead. He does, though, need to be looking in his mirrors at the same time while he's doing it. Bill Wright has been on a charge in the second half of the race. He's through into 3rd, and he very well might be able to stick it to Russ Addy and Randy Shoemake, our 1st and 2nd place getters from race 1.
So the front 2, the same as they were in race number 1. I think Randy Shoemake would appreciate getting a win in this race to help him in his championship fight. But Russ Addy, he got the win in race 1. Look at how loose Russ was then. He hit a bump on the middle of Sunset Bend. That allows Shoemake to make it past across the line. And now, change of position back. Shoemake to the front of the field. Well, 2 laps to go. This is all going to happen here, and here comes Bill right now to look into the inside. It didn't happen on the last lap for you there, Bill, and it's not happened there.
So, anyone's to win and anyone's to throw away amongst our top 3 or 4 drivers here. Randy Shoemake with the fastest lap of the race and the lead of the race right now. Good on board from Bill Wright though, as he looks at Russ Addy. It is 2 laps to go though, so my goodness, you are starting to run out of time if you are these guys.
I think Addy's lost a little bit of ground on Randy Shoemake as well with the pressure from behind. So Addy under pressure from Wright. Stump has fallen back a bit here in this battle. I don't think he's going to be an issue for the front 3. I think it's going to be these front 3 battling it out for the win at the end of this one. Worth pointing out as well, Bruce Cranheim, Remigio De Pasqua and Stefan Rosgen all together 0.4 of a second, covering 7th, 8th and 9th place. So Rosgen working his way up into 9th place, and Bill Wright Major mistake. He can't get it off the grass. And here comes Stump.
Yeah, little mistake, but costly at a difficult time for Bill Wright. Stump is going to get back in front of him. Wright has lost a bunch of time. That's not what you need coming to the white flag like they are right now, starting the final lap of this round. Randy Shoemake has 3/10 over Russ Addy. As third and fourth also fight. And to your point a little earlier, good quiet race from Stefan Rostjan. He was on our radar for all the wrong reasons last race. This one, a bit more quiet. He's in the top 10. I'm sure he is hoping to bring that one home. And talking about bringing it home, Randy Shoemake has just a car length in it. Russ Addy, I'm sure, is going to fight him for all they have on the final lap here. Could it be a repeat of race 1?
We'll have to wait and see. Really close between these two. If Russ Addy
They say sequels are never as good as the original, but I'm keen for a sequel.
I am as well. This is sensational. This is great stuff here at the front. But these two, the friends that makes, and Addy realised he was going to end up in the back of that car in front, and that allowed him around. Speaking of around, Stump is around.
That is a bogey corner for so many drivers, and Stump, in between some of the efforts we've seen there, and he locks it up, he half spins it, but he did not hit the arm coat or the tyres. So everyone pushing hard as they dare, but the track temperature has risen hugely to 36 degrees Celsius. That might be what's catching these guys out. It hasn't caught out Randy Shoemake, the Texan. He's used to the heat, I would imagine, and what a great job he's doing so far. One more corner to go. It is Sunset Bend, and it's one he's been pretty good at so far. I don't think the battle's done second or third either. You can see right. Good run at the minute, closing in Russ Addy. Difficult for Shoemake, bit of traffic with no front wing, obviously pushes wide. And out the final corner, the number 3 car, Randy Shoemake, couldn't do it by a 100th of a second in race 1, but he's going to make the win stick in race 2. Behind him, Russ Addy gets second, Bill Wright gets third. Shoemake and Addy locking out the top 2 positions, 2 races in a row in 60-plus racing adventures. Here's Granheim around the outside of Sunset Bend, trying to bring the fight to Remigio de Pasqua. He cannot quite do it, and Rostjan brings home 9th place behind them. And I think sets the fastest lap of the race in the process. So a good final lap from Rostjan. A couple more battles to the line, and you saw a huge wiggle out of some of those drivers. I think it was Bob Kern or Dummer lighting up the rear tyres out of Sunset in their drag race to the line. What a hot last lap, all up and down the field. There's one more battle to go. Bruce Poole, I think, is a hunting Gianni Rispaldo.
He certainly is. And Poole...
Don't look too long, you'll go blind with these guys.
Absolutely.
In the nicest possible way, I mean that.
The man from Canada with the chrome livery does look good. Does that, but onto the brakes, final corner. I don't think he's quite close enough to make the move on Gianni Rispaldo. Final corner, Rispaldo taking the wider line to try and carry the speed out the corner, and he does take that position ahead of Bruce Poole at the end there. We've got a couple more cars finishing off the race. There's Muller taking a bit of grass tracking there out of Le Mans corner. So easily done is that at Le Mans corner, just to run wide.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little off camber in the corner, and then it's a big curb that tempts you into taking a lot of it, and then it sort of ends. And there's the grass right there. So all of that combines to making it quite easy to push a little wide and do a bit of mowing. But he gets the checkered flag in the end.
Boo!
As does our final couple drivers.
Poor pun. I'm sorry, you're not having that pun. You're not having that at all.
No, there was opportunity for some others, but what a good race once again. 60-plus racing adventures turning it on, and this new Indy Pro 2000 creating some great racing as well. Randy Shoemake, I'm sure he's going to want to chat to us again after this race now that he has gotten the big points and the trophy. So Shoemake and Addy both right up the tippy tops of the point standings. Both going to take 35 points away from this weekend. So weekend, middle of the week, you know what I mean. This event, that's going to keep the championship interesting. Russ Addy gets second in this race. Bill Wright, bit of a what could have been, but he still stands on the podium in third place and can be proud of his effort. Paul Stump then in fourth, holding on ahead of Coppedge in fifth, Andrew Fiddler in sixth, Remigio De Pasqua representing the Italian Turtles in seventh place, just ahead of Bruce Granheim. Another great battle at the end there. Stefan Roestgen in ninth, and Donald Poole in 10th. A little bit further down for 11th, which is where Bob Kern is just ahead of Kenneth Dummer. Another battle separated by just some tenths of a second at the end. And you look further down for Dev Donnelly, Jack Turner in 14th, Greg Garris 15th, Douglas Beasley is in 16th place, Gianni Rispaldo in 17th, Bruce Poole 18th, John Morgan 19th, and Lewis Cannell is gonna get 20th place.
21st then, Urs Muller. Not a good result for him. He wouldn't have wanted to have finished there. 22nd for John Arles with Ronald McManus, 23rd. Richard Varley, 24th, ahead of Richard Coulomb. Then these drivers all a lap down. Barry Hills, 26th. John Unsby, another disappointing race for John in 27th. John Martin, 28th. Jim Moen, 29th. And Pierre Dion, 2 laps down in 30th place. Bob Cohen, 31st. And then drivers who basically had major issues or did not finish: Mike McCormick, Jose Campadonica, Jerry Kerr, Bill Krause, Michael Bailey, Wally Moresby, Fred McIntosh, Klaus Pojone, and Vince Paul do not finish the race.
Well, another cracking lead battle at Sebring for 60 Plus Racing Adventures. Randy Shoemake was in it both times, and he joins us once again, and I spoke with him before, so I reckon it's Paul's turn.
Oh, thank you very much, David. So, Randy, what a round of the championship for yourself. Race 1, second place, and then race 2 going that one step better on the podium to the top step. Just talk us through that, because you were there in third place for quite a while. Russ had to wake his way through, and then you were able to catch up to that lead battle.
Thank you very much, Paul. It was this is my first road course victory in this league, and it's an exciting day to go 2-1, 1-2. Russ made it possible. There was a time when he was definitely quicker, and I'm not going to hold us up so we can catch the leaders. We fought hard together and cleanly, and it just came together finally. And so a 1-2 finish was fantastic. That's a perfect weekend.
Well, that's it, and because we did note whilst you were in that third and fourth place with yourself and Russ that you were swapping places, you were working together to try and get yourselves towards the front there. Then we see the incident with John ended up making the mistake heading out of the left-hander before Big Bend. And then it all just comes together. Bill Wright comes involved in that. That must have been crazy the last few laps there.
We knew how good Bill was in the first race, and we were definitely watching time. Is he catching us, or are we pulling away? And we kept that in mind. We tried to race together and improve each other's position, Russ and I, but there was a point there when we were racing that we were dropping off from the leaders, so we went for single file, got back up to them. Mistakes happen. This is a track that's so easy. So much pressure on the front runner to make a mistake, and you run 15 clean laps and don't think you did anything wrong in the 16th, and all of a sudden the car swaps ends on you. So we're just pleased we said when we started, first we finish, then we finish good, and I think we did that today.
Well, that's it. You certainly did a good job out there, and we'll just have a look quickly then. The rest of the schedule will be up on the screen here, and Spa-Francorchamps, the next race for yourselves. Is that a circuit you particularly enjoy? It'll certainly be a slipstream fest there in these cars.
Certainly, I like that. Russ and I also run on an endurance team, and just came off a Spa a couple of weeks ago, so we're looking forward to returning in this car. It'll be our first time. Definitely looking forward to it. It's always an opportunity and a challenge.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go then, is there anyone you just want to give some quick mentions whilst you're here?
I appreciate it. I thanked Mom and Dad last race. I want to thank my dad and stepmother. Hope that they're watching. Someone that gives me the most encouragement is Tony Lamberti, and God, please, I pray for him, and I want your blessing. And I want to give a shout out to my granddaughter. She just had her tonsils and adenoids taken out this morning at 7:30. At 9:30, she was playing and say, "Grandpa, come and play with me," and that makes my day. So, Drake, I hope you're feeling better. And I love you so much. And obviously my wife. My wife is so supportive of this, and I'm just a very fortunate young man.
Well, it is always tremendous to speak to you, and as always, family just come first, and all the best for yourself and your family in the weeks to come. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you here in the commentary booth for the final round when we cover the Nürburgring.
I would love that, Paul. That one's Russ is going to have to teach me. He knows that. He said he knows that like the back of his hand. I've got to learn it, so I'm depending on him. But I thank you for all that you and David do for us, and we appreciate the broadcast. You guys do a great job.
Thank you very much then. Randy Shoemake, race winner for race number 2 here today.
Yeah, going from second to first, he is understandably delighted with that one. And that wraps up almost all of our coverage here of this round of 60 plus racing adventures. The racing series for seasoned and serious drivers. All of our racers today were 60 years of age or older. Just going to show that sim racing is for everyone, and it's great that they can come race with us. I've been David Haynes, Paul Smith with me as well. We want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again, as you saw on the schedule, couple weeks time, maybe a couple months away still, for the season finale. And if the racing between now and then is anything like we've seen, it's going to be cracking racing then, and hopefully we have a championship battle to cover. I want to thank you again for joining us, and from myself, everyone at RaceSpot who makes it happen, have a beautiful day, and we'll see you round.